All right. Well, this is my first attempt at making a video. I've been wanting to make videos for a little while, but just never got around to it. Mainly because I had a couple of ideas of what I wanted it to be like. You know, I wanted to set up my camera and make everything all fancy, give myself some nice angle and like a whiteboard and write it all down. But that just felt like too much. And I didn't really want to do it. And I need to shout out struggling grad student on YouTube. I love to watch his videos, and I find his math journey inspiring. But also, this format is kind of just like his. And I wanted something that was laid back, where I didn't really have to stress about, you know, how my video looks, is it perfect? And that's not to say that his videos aren't good. I find his videos very entertaining, and I love listening to them. But, you know, they're not super fancy, and I think he would be okay with somebody saying that. I hope your videos are great. Your videos are great. Anyways, so I'm just gonna do this format. Now, maybe in the future it's almost certain that we're gonna have a video where I've worked a problem out on a whiteboard and I talk about it like that. I like to do my work on a whiteboard, but there will also be times where I'm just sitting here with a pad and notebook paper. And my goal for these videos is, you know, partially for me, kind of an archive of my journey through mathematics. I will say I'm in Calculus 3 right now. And I've recently decided to completely switch to a math major. I was wanting to do physics, but I wasn't very good, to say the least. I did bad on exams, but I also just did not have any fun with it like I thought I would. I thought I was going to have a really good time. I thought I was going to learn a lot, but it was boring and a lot of plug and chug. And even though I'm in advanced physics, which is just physics with calculus, we haven't used a single calculus. We hardly use calculus, I should say. Our teacher goes up there and he'll derive a formula, but that's it. That's about as much calculus as we do. The homework problems that we do, no calculus. And it's been a little discouraging. Some of my classmates do well in that class, and I'm in advanced too. So doing like statics, electric charges, and we're gonna get onto magnetism sometime this week, I believe. But it's just no fun. I don't like it. Honestly, it's boring. And I don't want to feel that way, but that's just how I feel. And I was kind of in denial about it. I'm like, no, we really love it. We're going to have such a great time. But no, I'm going to be honest with myself. I don't like physics. And I really enjoy math. So I'm going to go for a math major. I'm going to shift gears here and just do straight math. I really enjoy the subjects, and I could really focus in on it. I was kind of worried about, you know, how I wanted to approach both of them, because I really wanted to make sure that I gave the time of day for both classes, and I would find myself giving my time all to calculus and hardly doing my physics stuff. But that was just because I didn't enjoy doing my physics work. I've gotten really lazy in that class, and I'll admit sometimes I read a math book in that class. Now, part of it may be the teacher. I won't lie. He's not great. Though that's not necessarily a reason for me to give up, but it does make the class a lot less enjoyable, and and the material's not interesting. Sorry to say. You know, if you're really into statics and electricity and stuff like that, good. I'm glad. I just personally couldn't get into it. I was tired of just, oh, here's this number. What do we not know? What do we want to know? What do we know? All right, plug it into this equation. Now you have this. Plug it into the next. Oh my goodness, it's just the worst, honestly. And you know what? Some people hate just math. You know, I talk to a lot of my physics classmates, and they say, "Oh, I enjoy the application. You know, it lets me know that I'm not just, you know, finicking with numbers. You know, they actually have some real meaning behind them." And you know what? That's fair. That's fair. But I'll be honest, for me, I don't necessarily need an application. It's kind of a puzzle. And a really fun puzzle at that, in my opinion. You'll have to excuse my dog. She is, she's dreaming. Anyways, so, where was I? Right. So, no more physics for me. I mean, I'll take what I have to, because there are some physics classes that are just required for math majors. But I'll do the bare minimum, and I'll get through them. As for math, I want to put all my effort into it and really make sure that I have this stuff down. As for this channel, I don't know if I said it already, but yeah, I kind of want it to be an archive of my progress. And I already mentioned I'm in Calc 3. Next semester, I will take discrete and differential equations. The way I'm going to try and break this up is I want to make videos about just whatever section, chapter that we're on in the class. I may solve a problem out, though this is debatable. You know, I'm tempted to solve them out first and then record, you know, just so you guys don't see all the mistakes that I make, because I make a lot of them. A lot of arithmetic mistakes. Now, I think I have like the overall concepts down pretty well, but I can make a lot of arithmetic mistakes, and I don't want the video to be 30 minutes long. Well, not that. I don't want it to be hours long, I should say, as I'm stubborn and a lot of times don't like to look at the example, and I will just sit there until I figure it out. Usually I don't. I end up having to look at the example anyways, but regardless, I at least put forth as much effort as I can. And I have to remind myself that I'm learning too, and that it's not my job to teach my classmates as well as the teacher does, because that's her job, and my job is to learn from her, or him, or whoever. Anyways, right now, we've been doing a lot of integration. Now, we did just get through a chapter about finding center of mass of some given object. Really, some given function, honestly. It's usually a function. What is the center of mass and the mass distribution and blah, 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 blah. Now, it's not like the most interesting topic to me, I'll be honest. I really love multiple or double, triple integrals. These have been fun. While they can be a bit painful, I won't lie. They can be painful. A lot of arithmetic, a lot of places to make mistakes. Simple algebra mistakes too. I make those all the time, but that's okay. I still find it I still really enjoy it. Right, my goal is to make videos on each of these topics and kind of go over my understanding of it, and hopefully I can break it down for you guys if you guys are taking these classes. You know, I'll do my best to explain it. And if you've already taken these classes and for some reason you're watching my video and you see a mistake that I make, or heck, or even if you are in these classes, or you just know about these topics and I make mistakes, or you have an idea of something regarding the topic, dude, leave a comment. Like, I'm not above learning. Nobody is. But I am not here just to teach. I'm also here to learn and to record my progress. You know, if I start now and, you know, by the time I'm doing my bachelor's and then my master's and then hopefully my PhD, you know, it'll be fun to look back on these videos to see where it all started. Here it is. A little triple integral. Now this one isn't particularly challenging. I just wrote it down real quick just so that way I could talk about a little bit of math. I guess we'll go ahead and look at it real quick. So we just want to find the volume of a sphere with radius 1. These honestly aren't too bad. You set up your bounds, my bounds of integration. If you've worked with spherical coordinates, now, unfortunately, my teacher mentioned that due to time constraints, we are going to have to kind of gloss over or like skip over the Jacobian and, you know, coordinate transformation, or what's the word? Kind of losing the word here, but you know, mapping, going from like Cartesian coordinates to I'm sure you can probably think of the coordinate system and you're probably talking to your screen right now saying, oh, it's this one. I should be able to recall this, but regardless, you know, Cartesian coordinates to polar. That's what it was. Polar coordinates, and being able to use a Jacobian in order to essentially make the process of integration easier. I may make it a video about an example of why it's easier that way, and I also will make a video about the Jacobian once I've read more on it and understand it a little bit better, because I'm just going to do it in my free time. And I'm going to be that guy. I didn't want to be this guy, okay? But listen, before spring break, I'm going to ask her if she could at least post the homework she would have given us if we would have gone through the section. I'm going to say, make it worth no points. Make it worth no points. I don't need people being like, oh, you asked her for homework. I don't want to be that guy. But I want to do it because honestly, the Jacobian was one of the things I was looking forward to learning. And when she mentioned that we were going to skip over those sections, I was sad about that, but oh well. I'll do it. I'll do it myself. So, right. So we're finding, okay, anyways, what I was saying there is that when you're doing that, the reason why it looks like this, we have, that's rho, d phi, d theta are for all our bounds of our integrals. Our radius is 1. Rho kind of represents the radius of the sphere, and it goes from 0 to 1. Phi, I'll draw a diagram. We can discuss this a little more in depth later. But phi only goes from 0 to pi. Okay. Like I said, I'll talk more about that in another video. This is just an intro, and I just wanted to talk about a little bit of math at least. And then d theta. And heck, you may already know this, and you're like, yeah, duh. But for those of you who don't and like this stuff and want to get better at math, then here you go. And d theta, that theta does go from 0 to 2 pi. Anyways, we go through and solve it. We solve the first integral first. You could pull out the d phi, sine phi, because phi, in this instance, we just treat it as a constant because we're integrating with respect to rho. And so then we have rho squared, and then of course you have 1/3 rho cubed from 0 to 1, and that just equals 1/3 times 1, so then we just get 1/3 sine phi. Then we integrate with respect to phi. Then we get 1/3 times negative cosine phi from 0 to pi, where our bounds of integration right here. Then we are left with, I went ahead and pulled that negative out. I got lost in all the negatives, and I was like, you know what, just make it easier on myself. Then we integrate from, I had to write it out. So we have negative 1/3 times, it'll be, so pi times cosine, that's negative 1, and then it's minus cosine of 0, so then it'll be minus 1. So we have negative 1 minus 1, that's negative 2, but then times that negative 1/3, we get 2/3. Then do it one more time. Now we have the integral from 0 to 2 pi of 2/3 d theta. And of course, we just solve that really quick. So it'll be 2/3 times 2 pi, which is just 4 pi over 3. And then if you're suspicious of my work, here we have the volume of a sphere. If you just look it up, that's what it is. Now, this is where it comes from, practically. But in case you would like this, just so you can know that I'm not going crazy, it is 4/3 pi. I won't lie, I looked this up. I couldn't really remember what the formula was. Embarrassing, but that's okay. We live and we learn. I mean, I think I did remember, but I just wanted to make sure because I didn't want to write something down that was wrong. Anyways, so there's a nice little triple integral finding out the volume of a sphere. Now, my goal is after Cal 3 over the summer, I actually want to go over past sections in the class and make videos on those. For me, just so that way I can get a better understanding of it, and for me, and I know for a lot of people, explaining it to somebody else really helps you understand it. So I figured by making these videos, I'm a really bad note taker. I'm a terrible note taker. Part of it was because I just did fine without notes. And I was like, you know what? Just drop it then. And I hear all my classmates and they're like, oh yeah, I go home and I rewrite all the notes. Now I'm like, that's really good on them. And I need to get better at that. But that's just so long. And regardless, I a lot of times I still help them with their math. So, that's just how it is. But the thing is I know that this method is not going to work forever. I know I need to get better at taking notes. And, creating this channel will hopefully give me an idea of, the topics that I have done, and getting those ideas down and explaining it in a way that I can understand, and hopefully you guys can understand as well. And because, we've gone through, we've done a lot of vectors, and now the vector calculus section comes after this next exam. And I'll try and make videos on those. And then over the summer, I'll do more stuff over vectors. Let's see, I will do partial derivatives, and, you know, gradient, and I'll go back before that too. I may make some videos about convergent, divergent series and stuff, the things that I learned in Cal 2, integration techniques, and heck, if need be, and people want like trigonometry help or just algebra stuff, I wouldn't mind doing that either. Everybody could brush up on their algebra, let's be real. I feel like we could all brush up on it. And they say, you know, the hardest part of calculus is the algebra. And you know, sometimes that can definitely be true. If you're not good at your algebra, don't go to calculus. Make sure you're good at algebra. Calculus concepts, you know, I guess, you know, it really depends on how you approach the class. You know, a lot of people will say that Cal 2 is harder than Cal 3, and I personally don't necessarily agree. I think it depends on how you approach the class. Cal 2 is a lot, you know, you do a lot of integration techniques. You have those convergent, divergent series. It's a lot of things that you memorize, a lot of patterns. And a lot of people struggle with that. Cal 3, these things are a lot easier to memorize, I think, if that's how you were approaching the class. I hate memorization. I really want that deep understanding of how it all works. And the conceptual understanding of Cal 3 is definitely harder than Cal 2. So I would not say that Cal 2 is harder than Cal 3. I personally have had a harder time trying to understand the Cal 3 concepts. So really it all depends on you. So, but yeah, that's kind of my goal. Now, I'm potentially talking to the wall here. Obviously, this is going to be my first video. And honestly, I didn't write a script for this or anything, so I'm sorry if I'm ranting. I just kind of hit the record button, and that's that. But next video I'll make probably be over that's probably do some more integrals, most likely. And that's just because our exam is, I may do gradient then, or something, partial derivatives then as well. But we'll see. I may also wait to make a video till after the exam during the spring break. But we'll see. Anyways, but thanks for watching, and hopefully, you know, I stay good, and I am consistent in making videos. But anyways, thanks for watching.